Hello, welcome to another episode of CoinBlock. I'm Charles and today I'm really excited to be talking to you about TheKey ICO. I'm not a financial advisor and this is definitely not financial advice. Always remember to do your own due diligence. I'm not paid, sponsored or endorsed by this ICO. The views expressed in this video are just my opinions. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and of course hit that notification button because investing in ICOs is time critical and it'd be such a shame for you to watch all my content only to miss out on the latest ICO offerings. So what does a TheKey ICO actually want to do? Well, it wants to create identity verification solutions that use personal data authenticated by the Chinese government for real-world applications. So it's kind of operating in the same market space as Civic and in the same market space as another ICO called Self-Key, very similar name. The only difference is this is obviously a Chinese ICO. Now, I actually think this ICO would do very well. Now, I can hear people shouting and screaming and saying, Charles, you're wrong. You know, Civic's number one. Civic's going to take over. This can't compete with it. Well, that's not the case. I think this will actually triumph. You have to remember the cryptocurrency space isn't zero sum. You can have many competing blockchains operating within that space. And in the case of Civic, you have the Chinese government, which has a very long history of protecting and nurturing Chinese indigenous businesses against foreign competitors. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen in the case of TheKey ICO. Now, I've actually looked through their white paper and I've looked through their website and it doesn't seem like they have an MVP. Does that mean it's uninvestable? Yes and no. It depends on your level of risk. This is the riskiest it gets, okay? I mean, you can lose all your money or you can make a ton of money. It really depends on your perspective. And I'm not going to tell you whether or not you should buy into this or not. Only you can do that. When I looked at the Q-Link ICO a few weeks back, I thought that was a very promising project. That was a Chinese project. It didn't have an MVP. And it's now trading on the markets at I think 7, 8, 9 times of what its ICO price was. So I'm not going to say that this is going to do the same thing, but I am going to say that this project looks very good in the short term. The token metrics aren't that wonderful, however. It's got a 10 billion token supply. However, it's got a very low market cap at $22 million, and they're selling 51% of their tokens. It's got a 20% bonus for pre-sale investors. So that is something to be aware of. But I usually say in most of my videos, anything that's 30% or under is usually okay to buy in at, just because if the project is legitimate, price appreciation will cancel that out. Of course, I could be wrong and you could lose all your money, so that's not financial advice. So I had a look at their white paper and I had a look at their website, and it said that their mainnet was going to be released in 2018, December of this year. So you've got 1 year to wait, basically. But a lot of people are talking about them. You can see they've got almost 14,000 users. Not many people seem to be aware in the US or in Western Europe about this project. It is definitely low key, no pun intended. And I've looked through it and I've noticed there's here and there there's a bit of broken English really, which I don't like. It says, by leveraging governments to blah, 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 undisputable advantages comparing to blah, blah, blah. So basically it's all gobbledygook because they've used some kind of auto-translation tool. So I looked at the video. Chinese, okay. So immediately I can see that this is targeted towards a Chinese audience, which tells me that I can really go softer on them, so to speak, when it comes to the language and everything. This is kind of like a quick effort on their part to really appeal to a Western market. And I can kind of forgive them there. I mean, you've got to remember, I need to make quick decisions. I make decisions all the time. And if I see a professionally edited video and it's all in English, that's all good and proper. But then if I see grammatical errors in the papers, then I'd mark them down for that. But because all the videos and everything and all the content is in Chinese, I'm going to forgive them and let them pass on the poor English. So that's okay there. But I would probably mark them down for not having an MVP. Again, it doesn't make them uninvestable, but it does mean this is extremely high risk. So then what I would usually do with a project like this is I'd like to go through the teams. Now the teams, as you know, with Chinese ICOs are notoriously difficult for me to research. So I've already actually looked through these guys. If we have a look through at the CEO, you can see here that she's actually saying that she's part of the TheKey ICO group, which is very good. But I would have liked to have seen some picture or graphic here with the TheKey logo on. I'm not seeing that. Again, that's not a red flag. I'm just nitpicking, but they could have done better there. This is all in Chinese. That's no good. But she did work for this group, IMS Health China, for 10 years. So I immediately want to know what this company is all about. IMS Health is a leading global information and technology services company providing clients with healthcare industry solutions. So it's basically big data for healthcare. So she's got the requisite skill set to really see this thing off the ground. She's got 10 years experience in a very large company with 10,000, is it 10? Yeah, with 10,000 employees that's been going for over 50 years. So I would give her all-star status for that, but I want more information. So this company, IMS Health, merged with Quintiles, which is actually trading on the New York Stock Exchange for $100 per share. So that is very good. We can see here a nice clean upward trajectory. I want to know the market cap. I think that's in USD. 20 billion market cap. So she's definitely a VIP. This woman's obviously an all-star. So she makes a grade. So obviously I'm very quick and I'm very subjective in how I look at the team members in an ICO, and I highly recommend that you take your time. Certainly don't go through it or rush it like I do. Remember, I've already looked through them off camera, so I know a little bit more about them. I'm just showing you this for demonstration purposes. So the next team member is Kenny Boy, Ken Huang, who worked at Huawei, which is a Taiwanese phone manufacturer. He also worked at this company, CGI, which I've never heard of. This would make him an all-star. This is a multi-billion-dollar Asian company. But this isn't good. There's no picture on his profile, which doesn't go against him, but it's just not professional. And there's no mention here that he works for TheKey. There's no mention that he works for TheKey here. There's no mention on his CV that he actually works for TheKey. But you can see he's got a wealth of experience. So that would make him an all-star. And then I'd look at this company. I'd want to look at how many employees they got, over 10,000. I'd want to look at the website. Almost 1 million users. Rich OECD countries. So they're going to have, a high revenue. $10 billion. That's on the money. He would be an all-star, but I wouldn't actually label him an all-star because, I wouldn't label him as part of the team because he's not saying that on his CV here. So I'd pass on him. Then we've got Jian Wang. Now, I've already done research on this guy, and he does say that he works at TheKey. He says it here in his profile. But this guy is an all-star. In my extra research, I actually found out that Mr. Wang has been at the front line of China's government development of blockchain technology for over 3 years. He was one of the first developers of the Linux-based open source Hyperledger system and developed 12 decentralized apps over that time for cities and provincial governments in Nanjing and Jiangsu. So this guy obviously works in cahoots with the Chinese government. That is a very, very good thing because it means it increases the likelihood of success and decreases any margin for error when it comes to operating in mainland China for this ICO. So that's good. And the final person on the team, the CTO, Mr. Xu, sorry if I mispronounced your name, and he's actually got over 10 years experience working for Chinese Unicom. It doesn't actually say it on his profile, it says Seagate, and they didn't come up with anything for Seagate, but he was notoriously difficult to research. But long story short, he worked for this company for over 10 years, and they've actually been developing 4G networks for traveling around China, along with Wi-Fi hotspots. So this guy's obviously got a wealth of experience, and he's been working on blockchain for a number of years. They've also got other members in the team, so I didn't bother showing you how I looked at the advisors. They were just too difficult for me to research. So I do think this is a very good project, but I do think this is the highest risk that there is. You know, I can't verify whether or not they have a prototype. I find the team notoriously difficult to research, although they do have an all-star team. For me, personally, I think this is high risk, high reward, and I think it could do very well on the markets. It looks very promising because it's going to have support from the Chinese government. I think this is really something for those hardcore investors, for someone like myself, or for someone who really knows how the market works. Could do the same performance as something like Q-Link. If you're new to ICO investing, I would strongly try and discourage you from investing in something like this, because there's just too many unknowns, really, for a project of this caliber. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit the subscription button and click on that notification icon too, because investing in ICOs is time critical, and it would be such a shame for you to watch all my videos only to miss out on the latest ICO offerings. I will see you in my next video.